Did you watch the Pine Ridge that they did? CNN did?
Oh, about the young people?
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
What do you think about that?
Oh, I thought it was a good, it shows, even in this day and age, how removed Pine Ridge is from the rest of the world, and it's just out there, because there's nothing out there. And if you've ever gone to Pine Ridge, and I've been there, my first visit there, I was stayed with my friend and over by Wounded Knee, and I was young then. I was a young parent, and even then I knew what we had down here. We were so fortunate versus what they had up there, and I thought everybody needs to come up here and see, and then be appreciative of what you have, because, you know, they're so removed and they're so remote from anything. They have very little. And if you don't work for the tribe, if you don't work for the hospital, or if you don't work for the BIA schools or the BIA, you have nothing. And then your work is seasonal, and that is very, you know, and that is very limited, because they don't have farmland. Their terrain up there is rough, it's rocky. There's ranches that people can work on, but there's no manufacturing plants, there's nothing. So it's really, really isolated. But it does show how removed Pine Ridge is from the rest of the world, and how the kids out there really have to struggle. So it's like, you know, your heart just goes out to them. It's like, you count your blessings, but then you think, gee, how can we help? You know, what can we do? You know, as those that have a bit more, how can we help them? Or, you know, something that their kids really have to struggle for, you know, achieving, for even staying in school, and for going on, you know, and wanting to make their lives better and come back and help their own community. So I guess that's what I saw, you know, and how I felt about it. And it was like, you know, you look at, those were stories of 2 young people. It's like, but how many others? You know, they just focused on the 2. But then you think there are so many others there. And right next door is Rosebud, with the same, you know, type of population. They're not as big as Pine Ridge, but they have the same isolation, they have the same numbers, so.
Well, do you think that probably stood out more because it was good for the media, good for CNN, you know? Oh, this will get our rates up, you know, because it's always showing the Indian with a really ghetto-looking house, and no, it didn't show. They could have came over here and showed our town, you know?
Yeah, well, you know, CNN and most news, they want impact, you know, and that will catch your attention. But at the same time, it's saying, you know, it's newsworthy, it'll get your attention. There's such a contrast between what people on the East Coast are used to versus how these young people live on Pine Ridge. And Pine Ridge has always been, you know, the poorest of the poor in our country. And it's been that way for years. And it's now, you know, it goes, it's still that way. You know, they haven't improved with the money and the attention that they've shown. But yeah, I wish CNN would do more, you know, show Pine Ridge, but also show, you know, show Red Lake, Minnesota, show Winnebago, Nebraska, show Crow Agency, you know, in Montana, show the Navajos, you know, down in Navajo land. But do a series of it, so there's, you know, people can see, you know, the contrast between what some have, you know, how they share, and what some others are doing, you know, like us. And I'd always say, you know, we're kind of spoiled because we have so much, and a lot of our people need to go elsewhere to see what other tribes have to put up, you know, with, and what they struggle with every day, because we have a lot down here, and we have a lot to be thankful for our people, because very seldom do they hear the word no. And a lot of people up north, you know, they're struggling to put food on the table. You know, they don't have a lot of the programs that we have. A lot of the smaller tribes and a lot of the tribes in remote areas, they don't have, you know, casinos that generate funds for them. If they do, even in that respect, it might be limited because their areas are remote. So, yes, I think, you know, CNN, it would be nice, you know, if they would do a series, or maybe we need to, you know, ask them to do a series. You know, we, you know, it got our interest, but should show some of the other, you know, areas too. Some of the other tribes in, you know, the eastern side, in the southwest, here in the Midwest too. You know, what some of the other tribes are dealing with, how some have solved their own problems, you know, by themselves. You know, those types of news reporting would be good, because people don't hear our, you know, our success stories as much as they hear, you know, or see something like Pine Ridge. And I think the last series that one of the news stories did was on, you know, rape of Native American women. And of course that was up in North Dakota, and I think one was one of the communities on the Rosebud Reservation. So that, again, it's something that's really tragic, and it's going to catch your interest. But that's what news services are about. You know, they want to get something that's going to grab you. And it'd be nice if they hit more success stories too. So, yeah, that's true.
And have you seen Bury My Heart Out movie?
Yes. I'm trying to think back to the movie. It's been a while ago. And then I read the book too, so.
So how did that story make you feel? Did that
Angry.
show? Yeah, made you
Very angry.
Because not just what happened to them, but
Just the whole, you know, it made you think about being, you know, Indian in this country and how unfair we've been treated. You know, and I think when I first saw that, I was a young person, then I read it. Got angry all over again. And it made you want to fight back at the establishment because we had been wronged. But a lot of times, you know, history has a way of making that and come back or come around, and even justice being served in certain situations. I like to relate to people about the tribes in North Dakota. You know, the government took their land and made them move because they were building this huge dam, this waterway. And they flooded their areas, they flooded them, and they moved them way up north and real remote. Nobody wanted that land. Especially, you know, that's where the 3 affiliated tribes, they found oil on there. Just recently, now those tribes are just, you know, they're real wealthy.
yeah.
And nobody wanted it, so it was like, you know, the government just stole their land, you know, and then put them way out there. But, you know, justice came, waited a while, but it came back. Now those people have oil on their land, you know, so it's like, to me it was like, good, I'm just happy for them, because because, you know, the government stole from them, and but now, you know, justice has come back and served them in a different way. Those things, that's just recently, but yeah, when I saw the movie and I read the book, you know, you become angry, you feel all the hurt that has started way back when. And it's like, you know, we were so unjustly treated, and, you know, just pushed here, pushed there. You know, think about our own people. They moved us 5 times.
All
It's like,
around.
yeah, all over, and all they wanted was our land. And, you know, not any kind of like just cause for it, just because they wanted our land. And for whatever reason, they just moved us. But we're a good, some of the tribes that they have done that, I was thinking, but we're still here. You tried to take everything away from us, but we're still here. And I'm proud of that, because we're still fighters, all of us, you know, men and women. We still fight for what we have, and we're proud of who we are. And I think that's one of the things I really want to instill in our young people. And that's what I try to do through our work here with young kids, prevention, but I also want to instill in there, be proud of who you are, you know, where you come from, because you don't ever want to lose that. You know, I'm Winnebago, I'm Ho-Chunk, I'm real proud of that, you know, and I'm proud of, you know, the people that work for our language program, so we can keep that, and we need to, everybody really needs to jump